The Graduate, Part 2.
Oh, good.
Now listen, the three principals are still with us. Dustin Hoffman, Anne Bancroft, Catherine Ross. 25 years later, Ben and Elaine are married. Still, they live in a big, old, spooky house up in Northern California somewhere. And Mrs. Robinson lives with them. Her aging mother, who's had a stroke.
Mrs. Robinson has a stroke,
so she can't talk.
It's going to be funny?
Yeah, it'll be funny.
With
Dark
a stroke?
and weird and funny and with a stroke.
Okay.
Maybe it's not a stroke. Maybe it's... I don't know what
anyway,
it is.
Go on.
It's a malady of some sort.
Okay.
She's up there in the bedroom upstairs listening to everything that happens. They've got a daughter who's just graduated from college.
That's good. Young blood.
22, 23-year-old, like a Julia Roberts.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. Hey
everybody, and welcome back to What the Hell Happened to Them? Julia Roberts marches forward. I am your host, Patrick Skeyhill. Joining me, of course, is my co-host, Juniper Joe Vekeman.
Hello.
And, of course, on the audio boards is Lev Van Rensselaer, reminding me to remind you that you can email the cast at whathappenedtothemcast@gmail.com. And, Lev, who is our sponsor this week? All right, I have the copy here. It is Garbage. Garbage the movie. Now playing at a theater near you. It should be there all summer long. Garbage. Go check it out. You're going to anyway. All right, Joe, what movie are we doing this week?
Robert Altman's The Player, 1992. And can I just say, a side note? Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
This movie rules.
All right, Joe. Well, let's tell the audience why it rules. Give us a plot synopsis.
A Hollywood studio executive is being sent death threats by a writer whose script he rejected. But which one? Is this also Vincent D'Onofrio? Am I wrong?
Yeah. Vincent D'Onofrio and Julia Roberts teaming up for the third time in like 5 years.
Are we doing a stealth Vincent D'Onofrio series?
Yeah, I think we are.
Because this isn't the only time he pops up. He's comes a couple more times, I believe.
I know. You know why? Because he's very talented. He's a talented actor. Unlike
Do you
some
also
people.
think Tim Robbins?
Yeah.
Right? That's the actor. Tim Robbins, an unusually tall man.
Yeah, he's about an inch short. Looking at him in the police lineup, he's about an inch shorter than I am.
What?
Yeah, in the police lineup, they all have like the measurements right next to them, and he was 6'3".
Wow.
Yeah.
He looks enormous in this movie, and I thought at a certain point that Robert Altman was using it for comedic effect.
Yeah, everybody. A lot of other people are just shorter than him. Like that's just the casting of the movie, I guess.
Yeah, like obviously, like it's no secret Hollywood is full of short actors, and they are made to look tall. But Tim Robbins don't need no disguises.
Just legit. What happened to Tim? That was the first thing I thought when I saw him. Like I feel like he was big in the 90s, and now he's just gone. Like since Mystic River, where has he been?
He won his Oscar for a bad performance.
That's one of those things like they gave to Scorsese for The Departed, where they're like, sorry, we didn't get this to you sooner.
The Departed is a good movie, though. It might not be his best movie.
It is
but
not
it's
a best picture movie, but...
No, but Tim Robbins winning for that movie is a crime. That's a bad performance. That is so over the top. Also, Sean Penn. What are we doing here?
Sure, Sean Penn. Who was the third guy? Kevin Bacon?
Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Probably the one that actually deserved the award.
That movie. Yeah. But it was from Boston. Yeah. The Sox. Woo.
Yeah, I think that was the year before they won, right? That was 2003.
Yeah.
Do you think they chose Vincent D'Onofrio to be the screenwriter that he was looking into, who thought he was getting the death threats from? Because Vincent D'Onofrio and Tim Robbins kind of the same height. They look like equals. They don't look like ridiculous next to each other.
Is he tall? You know, that actually never stood out to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because they looked the same height and it didn't look ridiculous.
Man,
Can you imagine if Tim Robbins was being beaten up at that scene by a little man, like just a little boy?
Like he's not even really beaten up, right? He's like pushed accidentally.
He gets pushed. Yeah, but who's gonna push a 6'3" gigantic man?
But the car door did most of the. I don't know, Joe. I would buy it if he were like 5'10".
I appreciated that Altman took that time and was like, all right, D'Onofrio, you look like you're a sizable man. You can probably push this man around. But then also Tim Robbins beats the shit out of him and drowns him in a puddle.
Yeah.
In a little puddle.
It was enough, though.
Yeah, it was enough.
Got the job done.
Let's talk about The Graduate 2. My notes are Julia Roberts is the new graduate for The Graduate 2. She's graduating. What was the pitch?
Yeah, so like the movie opens up with this really long tracking shot.
Yes,
kind of moving
incredible.
through these
8.5
various
minutes.
Hollywood rooms where you hear deals being made. It's a pretty good approximation of how they go. Some things aren't really done anymore. Some things were never really done. But there's still the gist of that is still very much alive today. There's even a segment as we're getting into that boardroom where people are talking about opening shots of other famous movies.
Yeah, so I listened to some special features. Altman was talking about how the tracking shot he's using isn't like there's no storytelling happening in the tracking shot, but he's using it because it's being referenced in the story that he's trying to tell. So he's like, in a way, the tracking shot isn't actually longer than the one they're referencing now, and he thought it was just kind of a clever way to implement it.
Well,
and
so,
I'm like,
yeah,
yes.
There's an irony to it, right? Because he's essentially lampooning the Hollywood feature, right? And all these people wanting to, like, they're referencing, like, these art movies but have no desire to do that themselves. They just do it because it looks cool. And on the one hand, it's doing that. But I would say it's not accomplishing nothing aside from that. Like, it's setting the mood, the tone. We get this hint of the satire. We do see elements of Tim Robbins' character. We're not on him the whole time, but the movie's about the movie business, and Tim Robbins just happens to be our vehicle through it. But the larger scope is like, what does it take? What does Hollywood do to people? And so, like, it kind of makes sense that we're imbibed in that right from the beginning because we don't really get to see too much of it after the first act.
Yeah.
So it works. So yeah. And then, of course, somebody would be in there trying to pitch a Graduate sequel. And the Hollywood executive's like, okay, I'm listening. Yeah, she's like, all right, Mrs. Robbins, she's got a stroke now. And he's like, but it's going to be funny? Yeah, it's going to be a funny stroke. It's going to be funny, wacky, surreal, and full of heart. Like, every movie had to be full of heart. Like, they always had to throw that in there at the end. They still kind of have to do that. It's a little annoying.
I thought it was just because of this movie came out in 92. And so they were trying to like reference like movies around the time. And it's funny that I believe they tried to make it seem like it was like more of a cultural touchstone of Martin Scorsese's Cape Fear remake. Yeah. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
They brought that up and I'm like, no one really talks about that movie at all except me because I love that movie.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't come out that much before, so it makes sense.
Yeah, it was like a year before. Am I crazy to think? I just want to get to some Julia Roberts stuff before we get into the rest of the movie, though. I was waiting for her. I thought she was at the beginning of the movie. Did I miss her?
I did too. But what we in fact got was just a bunch of people talking about Julia Roberts.
Yeah, I could have sworn when they were like at a diner at the beginning of the movie, like that she was just like in a crowd of people at a table, and I thought we hear her voice really briefly, but.
Well, that's funny. I had remembered her in like that opening shot where like she was brought in and being pitched a movie, and she was like, I don't know, and then she wasn't even there until the end. So that was interesting to me. But I hadn't seen the movie since 2010, so it had been a while for me. Yeah,
I rented it from the Netflix DVD stuff, so I got it in 2015.
Hey, all right.
That was the last time I watched that. So yeah, memories are playing little tricks on us. My last note, because I jumped to the end with Julia. So I was waiting for Julia the whole movie, and then she has a dialogue-free death scene with Bruce Willis and Susan Sarandon and Peter Falk. Yeah. Incredible. Yeah. What took you so long? And then she's like, no. So she said, what took you so long? And then Bruce Willis like, traffic was a bitch.
Yeah.
And then they bring it back at the end, right?
Yeah.
With Tim Robbins. That's great.
Yeah. So the whole irony here is like the movie ends. I mean, there's like this bribery scene at the end where the actual guy, the non-Vincent D'Onofrio guy that's been sending him angry postcards seems to know that Tim Robbins did this murder and got away with it. And he's like, I got a script about a guy who did a murder and got away with it. If you like that ending, I think we can make this work. And so like the implication there is that if he buys the script, then the screenwriter won't tell anybody. But then the movie's called The Player, which is the movie that we're watching. But the whole like this kind of hidden theme throughout with this British guy who wants to make this honest, truthful movie about real life, like, but doesn't want to avoid the happy ending. Like, Altman gives us the happy ending, but gives us to these two despicable, sociopathic kind of characters. And, like, the echo is, like, it's Hollywood, but it's real life. Like, this is what's going on here. So he has to say Traffic a Bitch, the movie that he's getting, that's cliched in this Bruce Willis mock-up pick that had the switchy ending. Like, it's even just tough to describe in words, but... like, it's the most scathing indictment of Hollywood that film has ever created, and it's impressive that he got a million celebrities to sign on in a studio to make it.
Yeah, he's, like, in the interview he was doing, he was just like, we only had so much time with these people. Like, they were coming there on their, like, just because they wanted to be there. They weren't being paid. And he was just like, we have to kind of shoot around everything that we need because if these people weren't available. And I just think it's just a testament to people wanting to work with the Altman from the 70s. And they probably saw something in this script or heard about this script going around, and they knew he had a, like, tumultuous 80s. It was brutal. I've started to watch some of them. I'm kind of wishing I don't, but I'm gonna get through them. I'm gonna do them all. But then this is his first of the 90s, right? I believe, The Player. And then he follows it up immediately with a 3-hour epic Shortcuts.
Yeah.
Insane.
As I'm watching all these cameo people filter in, I thought, like, certainly a product of the longevity of his career.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
That he has this clout and respect from all these people. I'm sure the topic of the script helps as well, and the irony of it, but yeah, people just like, Altman must be like a cool dude or something, and like gets to hang out with him for like 5 minutes. The Burt Reynolds one in particular, very interesting, as we're like shooting through them and overhearing their conversation while the actual story conversation is happening in the background.
That was cool.
Yeah, like that was a good shot. I kind of like he meets Malcolm McDowell and he's like, don't be a fucking asshole, you asshole. And then he goes up and meets the other Andy McDowell, and they're like, we're not related. Just funny little moments here.
Yeah. Not trying to be rude or mean to a deceased man, but Burt Reynolds' face was doing some weird things in this.
Yeah, for 92, he looked a little heavier than I would have expected.
Yeah, because I mean, my go-to Burt Reynolds, I mean, it's just because of who I am, is Boogie Nights, and so I know that's what he looks like to me. Or like, I guess Smokey and the Bandit, like I know.
But this
right?
is like
that's
between
him.
Both of those, so maybe he just had like a rough patch or something.
Yeah, it was. I felt bad. I just felt really bad.
Or maybe like because he was there for 5 minutes, maybe they just didn't have time for makeup. He just like went in. Yeah,
I guess
could be something like that. Well, so speaking of Altman, right, we don't have a precedent for doing these ones that these actors are barely in. It's not really what you guys come to listen for, but one of Joe's favorite director is Robert Altman, or certainly top 3. And so Joe, very excited to do this. We both like this movie. So what we're really doing, in the spirit of this sneaky romantic comedy that is The Player, is we're actually doing a sneaky Robert Altman episode.
Hell yeah.
So Joe had sent me, I had only seen very few Robert Altman films. Joe's worked through most of them at this point.
I've done all the 70s.
He's done all the 70s. He sent me 4. I think they're all from the 70s. Is that correct?
They're all from the beginning of the 70s. Yeah. The good times.
So we have...
and 3 Women.
What are the name of these movies, Joe?
So we got, 3 Women from 1977. That's the only later one. Brewster McCloud, which was 1970. That's the one he did. That's his direct follow-up to MASH, which comes out the same year.
Okay, yep.
McCabe and Mrs. Miller, I believe, is 1982. It could be 1. I'm trying to think. I'm a little fuzzy now. Might be 1981. And then what was the last one I gave you? Images.
Yes.
That's 83.
All right, so I will be happy to talk about all these movies with you, Joe. But first, I want you to guess which one I like the most and which one I like the least.
I believe you liked Images the most.
Okay, and which one the least?
Brewster McCloud.
Oh, Joe, you're so
You get it wrong? Am I so wrong?
My least favorite was the Western one, McCabe and Ms.
Oh,
Miller.
really?
Yeah. My favorite one, by a wide margin, 3 Women.
Okay, good.
Love 3 Women.
You just can't get enough Shelley Duvall.
I can't. She was in 2 of these. What Wasn't she? So she's in Brewster McCloud, like apparently her first movie role or something.
Yeah.
I didn't hate any of these movies, but wasn't fully vibing with McCabe and Mrs. Miller. And then it got like kind of good. Like we got like a little high noon thing as we got close to the end that I was into. And then it just sort of stops. And I go like,
I'm sorry. That I really liked that one. That one.
Yeah, I think most people do, but for some reason I wasn't I like the idea of it trying to be this character study of these two people, but what they studied and how they studied, I wasn't fully interested in.
Could you appreciate them building the town around the movie though? Like how it started out with like a little tiny, like a few like houses, and then by the end of the movie, it's just like this full blown like it's not a city, but it's like it's a very well coming up town.
Yeah, it's a nice way to let us get an idea of time passing without being like 6 months later.
And it's super snowy.
Yeah, like the idea of this Western being in like a mountainy kind of Colorado region or wherever they are, like that's novel. I just don't like what they do with the pieces. I'm loath to say, but perhaps like devil's advocate interested in like if someone tried to remake it, what advantages you could take of. But I don't trust modern cinema to do that. But Brewster McCloud was all right. I think The Player works better as a sat. That's the thing. So watching those 4 movies and then rewatching The Player, he's honed in on something. Like there's a lot of roughness with these other movies, which is fine. But like because he's not trying to be Spielberg, he's just like letting the actors call the shots, and then he puts the camera where he needs to based on that, which is fine. It's fun. A lot of actors love that approach. But in The Player, it just feels a lot more refined and a lot like he's a lot more confident in his craft. And he should be in 83, but it really comes across in 92. It's a lot more determined. I don't know, like it's a lot more polished for an Altman film, which usually isn't his go-to thing.
100% agree. It's so that is the perfect word, polished.
Yeah.
Because a lot of his other films feel loose. Like it's just like people walking around and just like in The Long Goodbye, Elliot Gould is just like walking around his like apartment complex. And he's gonna get the food for his cat, and you can just hear him like muttering to himself. I'm like, what is he even saying? Like I didn't ask you to watch that one, but that one's you've seen that one, right?
Yeah,
Long
no,
Goodbye?
not that one. But like that's part of the intention, I think, here is that he wanted to feel like a Hollywood kind of film. He wants it to feel clean and gussied up. But like that, like he has never really done that. And then when he wants to do it, he can. Like that is what is impressive about Altman is that he could do other things. He just likes doing this. It's not like I wonder, like talking about Wes Anderson earlier, like we did, like could he do something that's not Wes Anderson? I don't know.
I mean, Bottle Rocket is like the least Wes Anderson.
Yeah, I'm not counting the first thing he ever did. But like if he wanted to come back and do like a political thriller or like a more standard romantic comedy, like could he do that? Is that in him?
I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know if he can get out of his own way.
Know. I'd be more impressed if it were. He just might not be interested in it, but maybe a script comes along and that's the way to kind of be cheeky about it. Altman here being very cheeky. It's probably the best movie about Hollywood, I think, that has been made.
Yeah.
I think it's the most accurate. I think it's the most clever. I think it's the most interesting. A lot of it just works.
Which one?
This movie, The Player.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Wes Anderson, though? Do you have one that you like more than others?
I think this is a lot of people's go-to answer, but I think the one that works the best is Moonrise Kingdom.
Oh, I was not expecting that.
No, I don't know. Maybe I feel like a lot of people really like that one the most, but maybe that was my memory from when it came out. I don't know.
My favorite is everyone's least favorite, Darjeeling
Limited. Yeah.
I like the atmosphere, the tone, the music is fun, and the three leads.
Yeah, I have a friend and she has cultivated this tea farm up in England, and she big fan of that movie.
It's good.
Yeah. I think that might be her favorite.
There's a great line. They're like, it seems like we're lost. And they're like, we're on a train. There's tracks. How are we lost?
So speaking of music, even when his movies are only so-so, Robert Altman's pick of score is always on point. It's always, even in The Player, like it's always, it's exactly what I wanted, but I never would have thought of it on my own. Like that, like it's just so obvious, but you couldn't have guessed it or you couldn't have picked it yourself. Like that's how it's always genius, especially in his experimental ones like Images. And Three Women was called experimental, but it's really not until the last 20 minutes.
You didn't? I thought you would have loved Images the most.
Images is probably my second favorite, and I liked it a lot. But like that, like I guess I thought that would have been one of his earlier ones because it feels a lot like that. And the problem is all the interesting things it's doing, like to get the ending we get feels underwhelming. It's just like, all right, we're doing Maya Dare and stuff. Okay, gotcha. Right.
Well, the thing is, so he had that super awesome hot streak at the beginning of the 70s. MASH, Brewster McCloud, McCabe and Mrs. Miller, Images, California Split, Thieves Like Us, Nashville really capped it off. And then he makes one of the worst movies that he's ever made, I think. It's just because of like the stark, and like he can't make a movie with Paul Newman. That's what I've figured out. It's Buffalo Bill or The History of Sitting Bull. I haven't even finished it yet. I made it like an hour and a half in, and I'm like, oh, it's pretty dreadful. And there's like, I don't know. It doesn't feel like he's doing anything really different, but it just also feels like he's not into it as much.
Okay.
And then he fucking did it again in Quintet with Paul Newman in 79, where it's like, have you heard about this movie?
No, I've not.
It is like slothily paced.
Uh-oh.
It's like Paul Newman and some other actress, like in big, heavy, like fur clothes to like protect them from like freezing to death in like the frozen tundra. And it's supposed to be like a post-apocalyptic world. And they're just supposed to be playing a chance game to see who lives. But it's like so boring. I mean, I'm hard pressed to say I haven't seen maybe a more boring movie with a giant awesome star that I love.
Yeah, so just hearing that description, like what is interesting about what Altman can do is he'll go and do like a post-apocalyptic movie you would not guess Altman would do.
Yeah,
or
he loves
he
his
sounds like
genres.
he's done 2 westerns. He's done this Hollywood spoof. He did
a war movie without showing any war.
Yeah, he's done a war movie. He's done like in-depth female psychological portrait a few times. Like he's sort of all over the place here. And it's similar to Spielberg. Like it always still feels like his stuff though.
Absolutely.
Like with the style. And the real difference between Spielberg and Altman that I always kind of put to is like it's sort of like the extremes on what types of directors you could be. And Spielberg's like, we're going to do the camera like this, and then it's going to move here, and we're going to do it. And then he just tells the actors where to go and when they have to go there to make that camera move work. Where Altman's just like, all right, you guys, tell me what you're feeling, what you're doing. And then he just puts the camera wherever he needs to after that, which is fine. Both of them are good ways to go. Altman focusing more on performance. Spielberg doesn't have to because of the actors he's bringing, so he's more interested in getting that, like, I think it would be called like eye candy, motion blur happening in the background, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And both work to different degrees.
Yeah.
So to go through the 4 that Joe had talked to me, since you listeners out there weren't prepared to have to watch any of these movies, we won't talk about them long.
Yeah, we won't spoil it. There's like it's almost impossible to spoil an Altman movie because
McCabe and Mrs. Miller is about a guy who's trying to build a small town in the West, and this woman comes that like can help him run a brothel to bring in his profits.
Oh yeah, McCabe and Mrs. Miller. Yeah,
and then they help build a small town, but then like it's a coal town, and this big company wants to go buy it from him, and he's like, nope. But he's trying to bargain with them, but he's kind of dumb. So the bargain goes well, and then they hire a guy to kill him so they can just take the coal town.
Yeah, hold up. You forgot one of the most important things about this movie. The most important piece of this movie is called Warren Beatty in a giant fur coat and awesome hat.
That's the guy they
that
hire.
sold me 100%. I'm like, oh my God, I just want to watch this really cool guy. Holy crap.
Yeah, Warren Beatty's hired to kill him. Mm-hmm.
Do you like Warren Beatty?
Yeah, he's good.
I can say that I really have never watched many of his movies until this year, where I watched, what have I watched so far? I watched Ishtar with him and Dustin Hoffman. Have you seen that recently?
Not recently.
That movie's awesome.
Okay.
It's slow at parts and it kind of drags, but the parts that rock are like just amazing.
But it's famous for being awful.
Yeah, but it's not. You watched it. I was so drawn in to that first 20 minutes of them being like lounge singers or like or trying to be lounge singers. And I'm like, and they're just like trying to write songs. And whenever like they come up with like they say like a sentence, they're like, can that be a song?
Yeah.
Let's try it. I'm just like, I was not expecting that from Dustin Hoffman and Warren Beatty.
Yeah.
Like these, like, and it's like Hoffman the year before he wins for Best Actor in Rain Man, and Warren Beatty is kind of in a weird period, right? He doesn't make movies that often.
Yeah, he's on his way out at this point.
Yeah, he's about to make Dick Tracy.
Oh yeah.
Like in 3 years, he was going to be Dick Tracy.
Yeah, that was the swan. I was just like, fuck it.
I love Warren Beatty. I never really seen much of Julie Christie, who I think is the female lead. You seen her? What has she been in?
That I don't know.
You don't know her that well?
No.
Yeah, I've never really seen her that well. I think isn't Shelley Duvall in this movie too?
I didn't see her. She shows up for 5 seconds somewhere.
Oh yeah. Quick little side note back to the player for 1 second. Whoopi Goldberg was approached to be in this movie, and because apparently Whoopi Goldberg approached Robert Altman to be in because she wanted to be in the movie, and he's like, oh yeah, do you just want to like show up like in a table or something? And she's like, no, I want to be one of the cops. Like she just wanted to be a part of the movie. She didn't want to just be in the background. And I'm like, hell yeah, Whoopi. She just won her Oscar a couple years before for Ghost,
a movie that gets referenced a lot in this film.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Ghost
no, but that's sign of the times, right? Like, so that's what happens in Hollywood. So one movie comes out and does really well that nobody expected, and everybody wants to make the next Ghost, right? So when you're pitching, you're like, it's going to be Ghost, but with this. It's going to be Ghost, but with a gun. It's going to be Ghost, but with, a millionaire.
Ghost with a gun? It already has a gun.
I guess that's true. Well, I think back, right? So remember that movie All Is Lost where Robert Redford's on a boat by himself?
Great movie. Thank you for recommending it.
So that director, his first film, he had done like 10 years before. And it was like this movie about like what happened, like you're inside of a Wall Street building during that
Margin
2008
Call,
financial collapse. What?
Aren't that Margin Call?
I think so, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So he does that, and then like it does really well in the festival circuit. And immediately afterwards, he's in movie pitches, and they're like, we have this project that we think would be good for you. It's like Margin Call, but with a gun. And like he had to like turn down that over and over again because he didn't want to just do the same crap. And that's why it took him so long to get All Is Lost done, because like he kept turning down terrible offers. So that's
Do you know what he followed up All Is Lost with though?
What?
I believe it was The Most Violent Year.
Oh, yeah, I didn't like that one so much.
I'm gonna watch it again. That was a good movie.
I didn't like it.
It's good. Brooks is good.
Didn't like
Brooks is good.
So
do you remember Brooks?
No.
He has straightened hair, I believe. It's so odd. How can you not remember his straightened hair?
I don't remember that. I just remember Oscar Isaac and the redhead lady.
Oh, Jessica Chastain?
Jessica Chastain, yeah.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Oscar Isaac and is it Jessica No. Is it? They're remaking Scenes from a Marriage.
What?
For HBO. Yeah. Is it Jessica Chastain? I could be wrong. I know Oscar Isaac's in it, though.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Anyway, so with the gun is sort of my go-to lampooning of Hollywood pitches, because everybody wants a gun, I guess. Oh, yeah, Whoopi Goldberg.
It's Jessica Chastain.
And Scenes of a Marriage remake, the remake nobody was clamoring for.
It's coming out in like September.
Oh, Jesus. So I liked her in there. What I liked what they did with the cops in here is that like he's being brought in for the interrogation, and like they're just having this aside about tampons for like 3 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And Whoopi Goldberg is not being like tough, hardened cop. She's just like talking. She's like, I need a jumbo pack for my flow.
Yeah, and then someone said this is for this is like a small one for like them got a joke.
Yeah, she's like, this is a tiny one. That's got to be for her. I need the jumbo. Yeah. And but there's also this element of menace. Like she does have control of the scene, and playing up the levity gives it to her, and kind of drives Tim Robbins crazy. And like everything is just it's a very cacophonous sound as the whole police department's kind of making fun of him. That sort of very well directed scene. Whoopi Goldberg in a surprise Hollywood power couple in 1992 with Ted Danson.
Oh my God, how did I forget that? That is so incredible.
And and she's the reason why he left Cheers.
Wow.
And that's why they had to end the show. Mm-hmm. And then a couple years later they break up and he does Becker, and nobody remembers that. But it was not a bad
except for my grandma and me, and we watch it sometimes.
Yeah. Those are fun to catch on like a like an over-the-air channel at like 3:00 in the afternoon. You get like two
That's
episodes
exactly what my grandma
back.
does. It's like on the My TV or something, or Me TV.
Yes. Oh, My TV. Yes, perfect.
Yeah.
They had. I remember when they got the Drew Carey show rights. They were like, it was like, we're going to be celebrating Drew Year's Eve, and we're just going to have a 24-hour marathon.
You must have been in heaven. You were like, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. Now it's not playing on there anymore. Drew Carey show, very hard to watch on TV these days. Very sad.
Well, like I said yesterday, I sent you a thing yesterday. Norman Lear's programs will be on Amazon Prime very soon.
That'll be cool. I own, a good chunk of them.
I know.
But I don't have hopefully, Archie Bunker's Place.
Archie's Place?
Yeah, I want seasons 3 and 4 of Archie Bunker's Place might finally be available to watch somewhere. Finally.
And would it be so nice to watch in like crisp HD streaming?
I mean, like you can only HD tape so much, Joe. Like it's not.
Oh no! They can do anything.
No, you can't. It's just tape. It's not film.
Although Amazon Prime refuses to put any of their trailers in anything but basic ass standard definition for anything that's older than like 1990.
I'm not surprised. Mm-hmm.
Oh God, I went to go look at some movie the other day. I'm like, I can't see it. It's too blurry. It looked like shit. It was so bad.
All right. Let's go back to the Altman film. So McCabe, McCabe, Mr. Miller, Mrs. Miller. Fine. It's a good idea. I'm not in love with how it was executed. It just feels like we got a lot of nothing for a while, and then something interesting, and then it didn't matter. So, but the pieces are there. You could do something interesting. It is one of his more popular films, so there must be something I'm just not vibing with, I think is the term the kids would use.
Yeah, watch in 5 years.
Brewster McCloud.
Hell yeah.
I don't even. But you have to give the plot synopsis to this. I don't even know where I would begin.
This isn't too bad. Is it Bud Cort?
Yeah, Bud Cort.
Hell yeah. Who I first watched in Harold and Maude, obviously. That's what everyone sees him in.
That's an
introverted loner living in the bowels of the Astrodome plots to develop, with the aid of a mysterious guardian angel, a pair of wings that will help him fly.
That actually describes the movie very little.
I thought it was fine.
That's a little bit at the beginning, a little bit at the end. The guy also goes around and he murders people and falls in love with Shelley Duvall. He's told he can't have sex, and then he does. A police detective is on the trail of him, who's played by Michael Murphy.
Michael Murphy. Yeah. He shows up in almost every Altman movie.
Yeah. It's like a quirky satire kind of thing. Everybody's getting bird pooped on. The framing device of the movie that gives us its theme is this guy lecturing on about birds.
And he's turning into a bird, right?
Yeah.
It's been a couple of months since I've seen it now.
Yeah, a lot of it works. I enjoyed watching it, but I liked his more experimental stuff, way more. This is just kind of kooky, Fellini-esque. At the end, the cast comes out, and they're introducing Shelley Duvall, and she's dressed like a clown because she's working for the circus. There's an audience in the Astrodome.
Does this movie not have one of the greatest opening lines? Do you remember it?
No.
I forgot the opening line.
I don't know why that washed over me.
Because it's so great because it happens over the MGM logo.
Yes, that's why I'm forgetting it. Yeah, the line doesn't roar. The line roaring is I forgot the opening line. It's incredible. I was like, oh my God. And I stood up and I gave this movie a round of applause, and I was 3 cheers. Yeah, it's kind of fun. Images about we're sort of in this woman who's clearly having a psychological breakdown. It reminds me had a strong Antonioni vibe to it. A lot of fun, and Maya Deren, as I talked about earlier, a lot of fun tricks and things done. You don't even know you're kind of in this experimental funk until she sees herself at the bottom of a cliff, but then we follow the other one. A lot of really great stuff here. It just builds to something that's very underwhelming, and that takes a lot of the wind out of the sails. But for you young filmmakers out there, if you're looking for bold or interesting techniques to get really into the interior of your character, this movie's a great example of that.
Yeah, I also like how he took the real names of all the actors and actresses and just switched them all around.
Yeah. There's a lot of playfulness here too, despite the tone of the film. And it's great score. It's weird, metal rubbing on each other, bending it, rubbing on glass. A lot of great sound effects here. Very big fan of that. This was the first one I watched. I was super into it. I got to watch this on Tubi.
Oh, you poor bastard.
No commercials.
You know what I watched it on? The Criterion Channel.
Yeah.
And now I own it on an Arrow beautiful 4K Blu-ray.
They don't have that on Criterion?
Yeah.
They do.
Wait, no. It's on Arrow.
But it was on the Criterion Channel.
Oh yeah.
But not
they
on
had
Criterion
a whole
disc.
collection like a month ago. I don't know if it's still on there. They had everything. They had MASH, Bruce. No, maybe not Brewster, but they had McCabe and Mrs. Miller, The Long Goodbye, Images, Three Women. Like they had all of them, all the good ones. Nashville. And then not course, Popeye though. Yeah. They forgot Popeye.
Great movie. And then of course Three Women, which I love, which is really about 2.5 women. One of them sort of just paints in the background, has a baby.
I did not know what to expect. This is like I was trying to watch them in like kind of in sequential order.
Yeah.
So like after Nashville, I was like, oh, wow, where do you go from here? And then, cause even like Tanya, Tanya likes like older movies and she cause like, it's more,
did Tanya like Mirror? How did that go with her?
Oh, no. Oh, did she watch that with me?
You had told me you were going to watch it with her, but I don't know if that actually happened.
Yeah, no, I think she looked at it and she's like, I'm not reading tonight.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised.
No, but she watched Nashville and she loved all 3 hours of that movie.
Yeah, Nashville's kind of fun. Like,
it's just. I
think you could say both about Spielberg and Altman, that they're both like, they do ensemble films, but Spielberg far less so, I think.
Yes.
He just like for his tiny roles, he gets good actors for them. But Altman is really about like following 5 people in a movie. Like, that's what you're doing in Brewster McCloud, right? Like as Brewster, you're kind of following, but there's this woman handler, and then there's the police officer, and Shelley Duvall a bit. Like you really are kind of doing a whole bunch of stuff here. With Spielberg, like you're pretty much following Tom Hanks. And then every now and then we'll check and see what the villain's up to.
He's more comfortable with like a Saving Private Ryan where he has a bunch of guys, but he can like split them off like when they're in the group still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even then I would call that a Tom Hanks. Like we're following Tom Hanks and other people happen to be there.
You know, him and Ed Burns.
But like if you watch Brewster McCloud, you might have a hard time saying, if the movie weren't called Brewster McCloud, you might have a harder time saying who the main character is. And in fact, in Three Women, the main character switches 2/3 of the way through the movie.
Yes.
It's awesome. So yeah, you get Shelley Duvall and Sissy Spacek, which for the longest time I was expecting to see a young Susan Sarandon. I don't know why. And then Sissy Spacek came and I said, oh, wow, I was so stupid. But then I couldn't remember Susan Sarandon's name until you said it earlier in the podcast.
Oh yeah, Susan Sarandon's great.
Just like, who was that woman in Thelma and Louise? But Sissy Spacek, was the 70s?
This was a year after Carrie.
I know.
A year after Carrie. That's incredible. What a run.
Well, it's like, but like, is she getting typecast as like weird young person?
I would have to think so. Oh, no, wait. Isn't Badlands very soon?
Wasn't Badlands wasn't that in the 90s? Was that in the 80s? 85 or something?
That was the 70s.
What movie am I thinking of?
I don't know.
I'm
talking about Terrence Malick's Badlands with the Martin Sheen. In the Sissy Spacek?
Think so.
Am I wrong?
Like, I think Sissy had like a good 8 years in Hollywood and then like disappeared.
Yeah, and then she showed up in Tuck Everlasting. Do you remember that movie? Did you read that book?
We did have to read the book. I think the movie came out the year we were reading the book, but I wasn't able to go to the class had a field trip to the movie, but I couldn't go for some reason. Did we have to pay to go?
Badlands is 73.
Oh,
so that was a lot earlier for Sissy Spacek.
Much earlier than I would have ever expected.
Yeah.
Okay. So Sissy Spacek, being a weird person. Shelley Duvall being Shelley Duvall. But like, it's just so like, it's so hard to watch this movie of Shelley Duvall who just wants to like hang out with people, but nobody likes her for some reason.
Yeah, you just feel so bad. You're like,
and then Sissy Spacek for some reason really loves her, but Shelley Duvall thinks that she's weird and doesn't really like her, but like is nice to her and like lets her move in and stuff.
Yeah.
But then, crazy movie, great movie. Like, I just loved all these character portraits we were describing here. I love the weird thing it takes at the end. Yeah, it's a really cringeworthy kind of film, but in a pretty good way.
Oh, yeah.
It just felt very honest.
Yeah, I wanted you to watch ones that I thought you were going to really like. Yeah. And I was like, weird. I'm going for a lot of weird ones. Like, so I didn't go for more like conventional, like, obviously.
No, these are a little more off-brand Altman, I would say.
Yeah. Thieves Like Us, I would say, is one I definitely left out on purpose because it's really good, but it's like pretty straightforward for him.
I think you got a good crop here. You got 2.5 films I enjoyed.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. And Three Women Alone is by itself makes the price of admission. Like it was just gravy after that.
Excellent.
It ended up being the last one I watched, so that was kind of nice too. I don't want it just to be like Southland Tales, where I'm just like, are we gonna ever reach that high again?
Yeah,
and then we didn't. So I'm glad that ended up being the last one I happened to watch.
The last one I watched for Altman was, what did I make? Did it make it Health? I think I actually capped it off with his 1980 movie, the one that came out before Popeye, which is like this movie I could only find on YouTube. It's not, you can't find it anywhere. It doesn't exist on DVD. Like they never released it on DVD, but there was like somehow someone found a cut of it, and it was just like, here you go.
Let's go back to the players. Try to wrap it up here.
Oh hell yeah! Play.
Did you notice the first AC on this movie was a man by the name of Robert Altman?
Oh, is that his son?
It sounds like it's some relative of his. Mm-hmm.
Hold on. So let me tell you. This movie came out in Cleveland on April 3rd, 1992. I don't know why, but then it's where's Cleveland?
Cleveland's in Ohio, Joe.
Cleveland International Film Festival.
Oh.
In Cleveland, Ohio.
Couldn't do better than that, Altman?
I know.
Why?
And it's like in April. It's in April.
Why Cleveland?
Weird time to release this like definite like feels like Oscar movie. Does this movie not?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I could see
3
some people
Oscar
being
nominations.
skittish.
Best Director, Best Adapted. This is one of his Best Director nominations. He only had 3. Best Adapted Screenplay and Best Editing.
The editing feels pretty standard here.
Yeah, I
The most
agree.
interesting parts of the movie are, in fact, the ones that aren't edited.
Yeah.
So I don't know why you do. That's just like nobody knows how to judge editing. That's why. So you just give it to the Best Picture nominee. That's the whole thing. Nobody fucking knows, Joe. They're all lazy.
So yeah, Altman was coming off a rough 80s, as we've said. Like, did he have any real hits in the 80s? I don't remember. Am I forgetting something?
You be the one who knows.
I'll check it in a minute. But
okay.
So he had a small budget, $8 million. That feels like a small budget, right?
I mean, for today's standard, yes. For then, for 90s, I don't know. I guess I'd say it's like low, medium, or high, low.
You know, he on all those fucking movies. I gotta look at those budgets for you because I don't even think he had $1 million he was working with any of those movies.
I could buy that, but like they work. Like the low budget feel is nice.
Yeah. Budget of $8 million. This movie brought in a gross of $28.9 million. Not bad, but it's probably what they expected, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good. You even with the box office taking their half, you're still clearing your budget.
Yeah, I just want to look up a couple of things. So yeah, Julia was
Julia's in here, but like we got a Steel Magnolias reference.
Yeah, I told you Pretty Woman reference too.
Pretty Woman reference. We got a Rodney King reference. So they are movies take about 2 years to make and finish, but like this movie was referencing a lot of stuff that happened the year before.
Yeah,
like it's very impressive. That I don't know if they slipped those in last minute or did some dubbing things to make that work, but that works great there. Like I jokingly refer to this as a sneaky romantic comedy, but in a way it is, right? Because like we're not like actively rooting for him not to get with the Iceland lady, who may not even be from Iceland. She's a mysterious woman, but like she's also kind of sociopathic too, in a less sinister way. Like she's just like, yeah, my parents died. I didn't really care. They just were gone. Vincent D'Onofrio's dead. I don't really care. And he even tells her, he's like, hey, it was my fault I killed him. And she's just like, shut up and do me. And so like there is an interesting pairing here. Like it does make sense that they would end up together. We're not rooting against them. I don't know if we're rooting for them, but like the happy ending comes that they get together and he impregnates her and stuff like that. So that's working well for them. And like the like thematic crux of this movie is around the movie within a movie that ultimately will star Bruce Willis and Julia Roberts and
Susan Sarandon and Peter Falk.
Susan Sarandon and Peter Falk are in the background. Like Bruce Willis just comes in and like shoots the gas chamber to free her.
It's so awesome.
It's so insane. Yeah, like
I loved it. I was like, oh, I'm in a Bruce Willis movie, and it feels like an awesome Bruce Willis movie that I wish I was watching.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
It's been a while since we've seen him with hair, I imagine.
And also, but he just was like into it, and he was happy to be in a movie again. Like I haven't seen a happy Bruce Willis in like 20 years.
Yeah, you get to show up on set for 2 hours. It's fine. So, but like I'm hearing the pitch. So yeah, and the movie's basically fighting for the soul of that movie that shouldn't work, and they want it to be artsy and have no stars, and then it totally sells out, but everybody's happy except for the woman at the end who gets fired. The moral fiber of the movie is the one who has the bad ending. Like that's the parody nature of it. But like as I'm hearing the pitch to that movie, it's not even like the British guy's trying to be like this is going to be an art film, but I'm hearing it and I'm thinking. It feels like one of these February movies that they thought might make Oscar buzz, but nobody really liked. It felt like
April release. It's right after the Oscars.
Yeah, exactly. Like it felt like the Moby Dick movie or like the Labor Day movie. Like it's meant to be like this tear-jerking drama.
Are you taking
a
big old shit on In the Heart of the Sea?
Yeah,
Ron Howard's Moby Dick masterpiece.
Yeah, I certainly am. Like it's like Hollywood like to make these tearjerkers, but they're still overly schmaltzy and ridiculous. Like the guy pitched this movie, and it starts off where you think it's going to be like racial rights, kind of like DA feeling bad because he's putting this black guy to death. There are too many black people in prison compared to white people, and then but you find out that's just the first 10 minutes of the movie, and then it's about rescuing this white woman that was wrongfully convicted.
Yeah, of course.
And then, like in the wake of the Rodney King riots, like that's so Hollywood. But so I'm hearing this and I go like, I know the director thinks it's trying to be artsy, but it's probably the least artsy, most commercial drama film you could make. But like Hollywood would like, they'd be like, yeah, we give it a sad ending. That's good. We'll do this Green Book thing. That's good. Like, fuck
Green
you
Book.
guys.
Best Picture, 2018. Definitely.
Yeah, I know, Hollywood. So of course Hollywood would make this dumb fucking movie. Julia Roberts' hair.
Long, beautiful hair, shining, gleaming, steaming, flaxen, waxing. Give me down to there, shoulder length or longer. Here, baby, there, mama, everywhere, daddy, hair.
Not so great here. This weird, short, kind of bob thing.
Oh.
Like she'd be like a 60s Housewives.
She's stuck with the hook.
I miss the big hair. Come back, big hair. All right, and of course, we'd be remiss if we didn't say, despite all of the good things that work for Altman's film, it is a fail on the Bechdel test.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
The movie with, like, 2 female characters.
The movie with 106 credited actors.
Yeah, there's a whole block of just actors at the end. They were, like, characters playing themselves or actor guest appearances or something. It's a good chunk of and there were people in there I didn't even remember. I'm like, Steve Martin was in here? Where did he was hiding?
What? Steve Martin? He must have been at a table.
Exactly, yeah. Like there was Cher was in there for a surprising amount of time.
Cher. John Cusack had a
John Cusack got a couple lines. Who was he with? Who was the
woman? You had to ask me.
I know. She was a big name too.
Don't know.
Was it Angelica Houston?
I'll have it for you though. That's it. You know what? That's extremely possible.
And it did, and they have this banquet, right, where a lot of these celebrities are hiding, and Tim Robbins has to go up. Not Tim Robbins. Is it Tim Robbins?
It's Tim Robbins.
Who's the guy? Who's the self-help guy with the giant jaw? Is he also Tim Robbins? You don't know who I'm talking about. That's okay.
Robin something?
Yeah, it's fine. Robbins. So he goes up and he does, like Hollywood does this a lot, where he's just like, we need to encourage the next Orson Welles and John Huston's and blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, they're making deals for like The Graduate 2. Like, clearly they have no desire to do that. But anytime they're in public, they want to be like, yes, we must preserve cinema as an art form, blah, 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 blah. But then it's this two-sided nature. And like that's what makes the like inverted romantic comedy theme of this movie kind of work. Like it's really is an effective look at kind of the Hollywood machinations.
And we can't forget, since we're talking about couples, Lyle Lovett in this movie would go on very soon to marry Miss Julia Roberts.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
weird, huh?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's had she's had 1.5 marriages so far.
1.5. Kiefer, right?
Yeah, Kiefer. Her hair did look very red in this movie. It's the most red I've ever seen it.
I mean, I don't remember.
I just don't think she doesn't only look like she has red hair. I never pictured her
very
as a
dark in
redhead.
that scene.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we can wrap it up there then. Last looks. Robert Altman.
Last looks.
Pretty good director. Julia Roberts.
Yeah, Julia. We'll see you soon in the Pelican Brief with Denzel. She's top billed over Denzel.
Julia Roberts and Whoopi Goldberg were really highly billed in this movie.
Yep. I think she was like 10 for being at the last 3 minutes of this movie.
I know. Hilarious. Yeah, Pelican Brief next week, everybody. Join us then for that.
Do you know who directed that movie?
No, who did?
I mean,
so you don't know either. Okay.
I know who it is, but I don't want to be wrong.
Speaking of legal movies, Joe, an important lawyer tip is to never ask a question you don't know the answer to.
Shut up. I knew who it was. I just didn't want to get it wrong. Alan J. Bakula.
Bakula?
Is it Bakula? Bakula. P-A-K-U-L-E.
I don't know who this is. What does he do?
All the President's Men.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
All right, now it's clicking.
The Parallax View.
Oh yeah. The Pelican Brief feels like in his wheelhouse then.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, makes sense. He would do that.
That's why I'm excited to watch it because I loved All the President's Men.
Parallax. Did you see the Parallax?
I need to go back to it because I gotta watch my Beatties.
I like that movie a lot. I think that's a good movie.
Okay. It's on Prime still, so
it's kind of like a more fun Manchurian Candidate. Either one.
I haven't seen the original. I've only seen the Jonathan Demme remake.
Jonathan Demme did that one? Oh man,
it was a weird period for him.
I guess,
but it's a good movie.
It's a fine movie. Yeah, gets the job done. Well, yeah, all right. I'd like to thank Lev Van Rensselaer for minding those audio boards, keeping the sound so slippery smooth. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Garbage. And in the summertime, you get a special deal. If you buy 2 tickets, you in fact get a bonus screening of Hot Garbage. All right, I'd like to thank my co-host, Joe Vekeman, for joining me this week. I am your host, Patrick Skeyhill. You may find my features, documentaries, short films, animations, video essays, behind-the-scenes footage, and so much more at QuixoticUnited.com. And now all of our podcast and audio-related materials are available on our sister station at Quixotic Harmonics. Thank you all for listening. Joe, say goodnight.
Good night.
What's your question?
Remember when we watched The Player and passed it off as watching a Julia Roberts movie?
That
was not a Julia Roberts movie.
Sure it is.
Although we were watching a movie about a Julia Roberts movie.
We were watching a movie where everybody wants to pitch a Julia Roberts movie.
Weird. What a movie.
Well, how you been, King Crab?
Is that my new nickname?
It can be.
Sounds
cool.
King Crab?
Yeah. You walk sideways, don't you? I think that's your thing.
I guess that's my direction in life.
That's
sideways.
Yes, Joe, whose life is filled with lateral moves.
I mean, it's very accurate. He thinks he's going up. No, he's just going to the side.
Yeah, I can't.
Did you happen to check out what my letterbox was like this week?
I have not looked at your letterbox at all, trying to avoid any Altman spoilers.
No Altmans. Besides the one we had to watch, but let me just take you back a few days.
Okay.
So I watched The Player on the 11th, and I followed that up with an obvious one, Billy Madison.
Oh, okay, sure.
And then I was like, you know what? Same day, it's time to watch a Mirror.
Yeah.
I watched Mirror, loved it, and I'm like, same day. What do I watch as the bread for the meat that the Mirror is?
Okay.
And I chose Jack and Jill.
Why did you pick Jack and Jill?
What's it streaming on? Because you should give this another look. This is the one of the ones that we should give another look. It's streaming on Prime right now for free. You know, isn't that good?
We can do like a remastered series.
Yeah, no, because you were talking about that, but like I don't think we gave it justice. Do you remember the line that Al Pacino says? "I can smell horny across the ocean."
Okay, all right. What's it streaming on?
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime for free?
Yeah, it's just streaming on Prime.
I'll reach out. I'll see if we can find a little guest for this, and like have somebody who hasn't seen it before be with two people who have.
Hell yeah. I'll just give you my little review though. Pacino should have been at least nominated for his performance in this one. Completely dialed in, something he hasn't been in many years at this point. He's so into it. The guy he's playing both parts too, because he's like, he doesn't want the Sandler like stupid advertisement gig, but he wants a real Brooklyn girl in Jill. He keeps telling her, he's like, Jill, I feel like these are the streets. We grew up on the same streets, these Brooklyn streets. You look like a nice, strong, tough Brooklyn girl. Like, I want you. And he's just like, he's all for her. He's like trying to court her. Like,
all right.
So
we'll talk about that, Joe.
So yeah, then I watched Memories of Murder and I watched The Killer.
I like Memories of Murder.
Yeah. Have you seen The Killer?
No, this is not The Killers from 1950s.
No. I watched that, the 1960 one with John Cassavetes and the guy from the Dirty Dozen, Lee Marvin.
Lee Marvin. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Lee Marvin's
heard that
great.
name in a long time, for obvious reasons.
Just wanted to give you my little sandwich I made on July 12th.
Yeah, that
Billy
sounds like a
Madison,
fun week.
Mirror, Jack and Jill.
I've only been able to do Altman films this week. Haven't been able to watch any of those Mirror documentaries, but I did all 4 of them, and then The Player. I got them all in.
Wow! Mm-hmm. Wow! What a baller
move. It was tricky.
Move.
Yeah, it was tricky, but we did it.
Those are no Images is under 2 hours. That's not too bad.
Two of them were under 2 hours. Two of them were over 2 hours, but that's fine. Wasn't the problem. It was just like I probably should have started before the weekend, and then I did not. So, or before the weekend was over.
Yeah.
So I started. It was pretty much Monday through Wednesday. I had to watch 5 Altman movies.
Wow, what a treat! You treated yourself. That's a good time. I gave you Images, Brewster McCloud. You watched Brewster McCloud. Whew.
I watched Brewster McCloud. I watched the McCabe and Mrs. Miller and 3 Women.
Oh, I gave you okay. Whenever you're ready to get into these, I gave you all the ones that I thought you would love the most.
Why does America think we wanted more entries into the Boss Baby franchise?
Hey, one of those Americans is my stepdaughter, and she was ecstatic. She went with her mommy last weekend, and she had a great time.
What is this, number 3? Number 2?
This is number 2, The Boss Baby Family Business.
Okay.
Do you know what the conceit of this movie is, though?
That Alec Baldwin is a baby, but also an adult?
No. Okay. So I guess the first one, Alec Baldwin is a baby, and then I guess he grows up at the end, and so and then like also the little boy that was like didn't want the baby also grows up at the end. So when they come back in the sequel, they're both like adults, and I'm like, how are they gonna do this? And apparently there's like the daughter of the son, like the older son, has a baby. And this is how sweaty it gets. She gets some device that transforms both Alec Baldwin and the other kid into babies again. And so now they have to learn that being babies is fun, and growing up, they should like take their time in growing up and, appreciate being little.
They did take their time. They took the 40 years it took.
Yeah, I know.
What do you mean take their...
See that shit? It's on Peacock.
Clearly, yeah, you can feel those general meetings going like, how do we get them young again? We need a sequel.
Sweat. They're just like in a sauna. They're like, how do we do this?
She's like, fuck it. She has a magic device. It's a cartoon, you idiots.
Oh my God. It's so silly.
And they can learn that growing up's not all that fun. And it looks like the eye rolls can commence now that the Space Jam movie's finally coming out.
I think people have finally seen the error in their ways, and I think this movie might bomb kind of hard.
I can only hope. Just as a question, this isn't even to ridicule their bad development decisions.
What are you going to ask? What Don Cheadle's name is? Al G Rhythm?
Really? Oh my God!
For real?
No, I didn't know he was in the movie. Is he playing like the Wayne Knight character?
He's playing the Danny DeVito character.
I see. Okay. So you have 2 young children. Do they know what Looney Tunes even is? Is that still a thing?
The answer is absolutely not. They don't know who Bugs Bunny is.
What are we marketing here? Why are we still marketing to nostalgia? Everybody, the past was, if we're making fun of all the people beyond a certain age that the 50s wasn't as great as we think, why do we think the 90s was as great as we think?
No.
Time to go.
Let me tell you something. The whole nostalgia wave is going to die a horrible death very, very, very soon. I can tell you that right now. And I don't know what's going to replace it, but something will, hopefully.
Well,
something
it seems like
more worthwhile.
A lot of people in our generation and younger, they seem to, it's not just nostalgia for nostalgia's sake, like people in the 90s looking back at the 70s. It's like people are so afraid of being adults now, they want to pretend they're still like 8. And so that's why I think these things are doing well. But like, you have much more power now to make the world better. I know you're afraid of it, but there are things you could do instead of just hiding in your room.
Have you heard of the movies that are coming out of cans right now?
No, I've not. No,
the one really big one. Did you ever see that movie Raw? I think that's a French movie.
Yeah, I remember that one. Mm-hmm. That one was kind of fun.
That director came back with a new movie called Titane, I believe. It could be pronounced different.
Titane or Tutane?
It's Titane.
Okay, gotcha. Sounds like someone's name.
That feels like it's the big festival winner.
All right. Well, I look forward to being able to see that in 9 months.
I guess it's being released on Neon, so it will be coming to theaters probably in October.
Okay. Well, that sounds okay. I can't wait that long.
And the Leos Carax movie, Annette, with Adam Driver and Marion Cotillard.
You know,
Holy Rollers. You see that?
Yeah, I know Holy Rollers. I'm just, as I think about the art world's fascination with Adam Driver, I don't know how fascinated I am.
This movie's kind of weird.
Not great.
From everything I heard, it's kind of weird.
Like Cotillard, very good. Mm-hmm. Adam Driver, fine.
I really like him, and I don't like Marion Cotillard.
Oh man, I guess we can settle that with dueling pistols at some point.
He's the guy that's taking I'm going to find all the auteur directors right now that are still working that will get movies made. And since I was in Star Wars, I'll make sure their movies get made.
Yeah, that's a nice thing he's doing. I just don't know how impressed I am by his range. I saw him in that Jim Jarmusch movie.
Oh, Patterson?
Yeah. I was like,
I didn't see it.
Or that, was it Noah Baumbach one he was in?
Marriage Story?
Yes. Is that Noah Baumbach?
That was Noah Baumbach. He's also in, I think he's in Meyerowitz Stories very briefly.
He was in there for 5 seconds.
And then he's also in the young one. Think You're Young one. What was the one with Ben Stiller and Naomi Watts?
Oh, yeah, he was in that. Yeah.
And Charles Grodin pops up at the end.
Yeah, that movie was kind of odd.
Do you remember the weird, what do they take? Ayahuasca? They're all in a house.
Yeah.
They're all just throwing up ayahuasca.
They wanted to feel young again. We got a whole bunch of those movies.
Yeah.
6 years ago. The thing he does in Girls seems to be his wheelhouse. And outside of that, he has a trickier time.
What was, you didn't like him in Marriage Story at all?
I know, I don't dislike him in things, but I'm not impressed. I go you probably could find a better version. He's serviceable, gets the job done.
All right. Let me ask you.
Yeah.
Are you happy he replaced Chris Pratt?
In Marriage Story?
No, as in the Hollywood's new favorite thing.
I would take him. He's definitely the better actor than Chris Pratt.
Yeah, I also forgot. Sean Baker has a new movie coming out that just came out at Cannes. It's called Red Rocket. Have you heard of this one?
No, I don't think so.
So he took this past his prime, male porn star, and he was just who's actually a legit, old male porn star. And he was hey, I know you actually acted after you finished doing that. So, and he's in Scary Movie 3 and 4. If you ever saw those, he's the lead in that, the lead actor.
Oh, okay.
And I watched a 1 minute clip of this yesterday when I was waiting for my spaghetti to finish. And it's the first time in so long. And we like Sean Baker. We love the Florida Project. We like Tangerine.
Very pro Sean Baker.
And it was just him being scolded for not growing up by this woman. He's just I just need to stay here for a couple of days. And he was just pleading. And I'm I believe him. He this guy looks like a loser. I just want him to but I feel bad for him. Only Sean Baker can make me care for this actor who I have never thought about more than once. I wanted the scene to continue and it stopped. And I'm well, I haven't had that feeling in a while where I'm where's the rest of it? So yeah, that is, I think, getting distribution very soon. That should be also another big festival winner. So that's pretty much all you missed. Oh, and the Wes Anderson movie is not getting mostly. It's like his most creative movie, but it's also leaves you kind of feeling empty because he doesn't care about his like making it more heartfelt or whatever. There's no like emotion to it. It's just kind of like, oh, these are his dolls. Watch him play with his dolls.
So it's another animated thing?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's live action.
I see.
It has an incredible cast.
yeah, of course.
Just like, who else is going to be in these movies? I don't know. But yeah, so that's kind of the rundown.
Okay.
That's what you missed.
Well, let's jump into this now.
Hell yeah.